Hi, this is Yvette Francino, and today I'm here. My guest is Aparna Saligrama from Quiet Value Woman. I met her indirectly. I worked with her sister, and her sister told me that Aparna had started a new network and that I would be very interested in it, and I was. So I'm going to hand the virtual mic over to her to tell us more about herself and Quiet Value Woman. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, Yvette, and it's just so fun to be doing this. I mean, I've read all your posts, and when my sister told me, I've told this, former colleague of mine, and I was like, okay, so at that point I was thinking, well, one more person on my network, great, but just reading all your posts and things, it's sort of I've gotten to know you very well. So thank you so much for thinking of me. So Quiet Value Women was. It's a virtual platform for women, from around the world, from all walks of life, all ages. I mean, I do say that, they be at least 14 or 15. Um, and it's a place where you can read interesting stuff, post stuff, ask weird questions, and just gain some insight into what and how other women are thinking. So for now, it's free, and it's member based, and I just ask for an email because I want to make sure people are at least a little committed, and I do encourage everyone to go onto the profile section and write a bit about themselves. And we have a forum section, where, with a lot of topics, and people can, women can pick any topic that they're interested in, and, just start writing about it. They can post art. It does not have to be original content. So in case, anyone seeing this is thinking, well, I don't know what to write. I mean, it's not like Medium, where you have to write your own thing. You can, but I do insist that you give credit to where it is that you got your stuff from, and then people can comment on it, or if they have something else to say about it, contradict it. You can do that. And I've also recently, because with a little bit of help from some of the other members, we have started compiling a resources section for women, and again on a range of issues. And the idea behind that is, you don't have to wade through a lot of nothing. So, if you're looking at something around art, or, okay, what is a good tech site, or, what is a place that I can go to safely download software? So instead of, if you Google it, you get everything. And, whatever is on the top of it does not necessarily make it the best. And, there's some career advice out there. What are some websites that are focused on, women, help women push there. So it's things like that. So that is where it is at now. So this was, a passion project of mine, because I work as an innovation specialist, and I work with a range of people. I work with different types of business models, but over time, I seem to have developed a niche working with women entrepreneurs, and women leaders, and so on. So this was, and then I come from a family of girls. I mean, I have a sister. My sister has a daughter. My mother has a sister. My father has sisters. So this, it was always on my mind to do something around women. I've had fantastic women bosses. My PhD advisor was a woman. So I have seen a range of women. Even I've seen women who are very career oriented, and it's almost as if their gender is immaterial. And I have seen women who have woven their experience as a woman very well into their work situation. So it was just all of these put together. I kept saying, but I've never been one of those people who would join women's organizations. And I mean, as much as a feminist I never considered doing anything very public about it. And I kept thinking, I have to do something. I have to do something. And when COVID hit, and it became obvious that I wouldn't be able to go out and do some of the things that I had planned for the spring and summer, I thought I'd turn that into my COVID rage. I turned that into something more productive, and I started this. And I'm very pleased with how much it has grown. And we have almost 100 members now, and obviously I'd like to have more. but I'd rather have people who are more interested in, and this is not a platform as yet, which is, it's not a career, sort of, it's not like LinkedIn yet, or it's not like, Indeed.com. But it's more about, it's more qualitative, and it's more about, what are the things that interest women, what are the things that, would be of use to them, and how do, people in the same profession from different parts of the world, how do they view that? It's more about that. So I mean, I'm thinking, if, people could, women could spend, anywhere from, 5 to 15 minutes on it every day, just a little snatch of intellect, for them and from them, if they're happy to comment or post. It's just a viewpoint, because it's not social media, so you don't have to talk about how fabulous your life is, and there's no career pressure in there, like saying that, oh, I hope I find a job that's somewhat relevant to me. So it's just a little something, that takes a bit of load off of your mind, and, refreshes your mind. And I know a lot of women like that, including yourself. And I do get very annoyed, because it is the more superficial things that women say and do that seems to get a lot of attention. Um, and I think that everyone, irrespective of how educated they are or which part of the world they come from, they always have something intelligent to say. And, this is an effort to, capture that intelligence in however small way it is. So, that's what Quiet Value Women is all about.
So it sounds like a community for women, for people to share and learn from one another. And I gathered from being on the site, and if I were to qualify sort of the demographic, the value is in there. So it's people that can add value quietly. So a humble leader is almost what it sounds like to me. And would you agree?
I agree absolutely. And the value that is added quietly is, from all the people who are on that forum, on that platform, and all of them, who are they may not post, they might not feel comfortable to post yet, but just being there and supporting it. Because when I see the analytics, and I see the number of people actually participating, there is a huge disparity there. So the number of people looking at it is certainly more. So I'm just hoping that the value created by the resources that have been put in there, and everything that people have said on their shared story. Someone wrote a poem on it, well, not on about Quiet Value, but they wrote an original poem about it, and you shared your Carpe Diem story on it. So it's just that we're all better than we think we are. I mean, honestly, we just don't pay attention to that side, because I feel there hasn't been a place, a non-judgmental place where you have had the, sorry, did you hear the ping? That was my text.
Do you have a?
We have not had that. There's no space, where there's no retribution, where you can, say something and not worry too much about, how am I going to be judged on that? Is this going to affect my job? Is this going to affect, how I'm perceived? So it's a very easy space, and I hope more and more women feel comfortable enough to post on it, share things on it, and we have some interesting things planned, as we go on, and for me, just taking the time out is the biggest problem. And then once I start working on that, I find it very hard to give that up and go back to doing regular work. I certainly haven't spent as much time on it as I should. So that's going to be, as the weather gets colder, because, I live in Illinois, so I think, we're pretty much done with the warm weather. So, as I stay indoors more over the next 3 months, there are a range of things that I have planned that I hope I can get out, so that it could be a little of greater help to women.
Yeah, wonderful. So, and you mentioned this is just a side passion project for you. What kind of work do you do? What's your full-time job then?
I am an innovation specialist,
Oh,
so I work with as a consultant. I work with companies, both for profit and nonprofit. I work with individual entrepreneurs, and I help them incorporate innovative approaches in their everyday work. I mean, it could be internal processes, it could be a new project that they're evolving, and in the case of entrepreneurs, it could just be how do you put together a company, an innovative based innovation led company around an idea, and how you take that idea into something that's scalable, something that's workable. And I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before. Over time, I seem to have developed a niche working with small and medium enterprises, and women owned businesses and women entrepreneurs. And I've seen a range, and working with that clientele especially, I find it most rewarding, because sometimes it's so hard to get them to talk, like we know our current system is not working, but and then once they start talking, there are times I'm thinking, well, you already know everything in there, it's already in there. So sort of tweaking that, and putting some tools and methods around that to take that initial idea into a workable solution. I find that, especially working with both women leaders and women entrepreneurs, I find most rewarding. So that's what I
it's
do for a living.
interesting because I would think that a lot of what you do with innovation can be then applied to Quiet Value Women too, and the platform maybe, and the ideas. And I think innovation is key in life, or some of the concepts behind it, not the, the experimentation, the trying something and, seeing if it works and adjusting. That's very much an agile concept. And we,
Yes.
and as an agile coach, really promote innovation as well. So some of the concepts that are relevant for you in your career probably
And
apply.
oh,
It's,
definitely. I mean,
yeah.
if I wasn't doing what I'm doing around innovation, I don't think I would have had an idea to, start Quiet Value Women.
Yeah.
And it's not, in many ways, it's almost that, I don't really want to know what's happening, some of the more superficial things in their lives, but, something that's a little more deeper, if it's, whether it's around traditions, or, have you even thought about, what kind of poetry you might like, or what is your favorite quote? And you can't just get something off of the internet and put that,
Hmm.
you spend some time thinking, what is it that I like?
Hmm.
And so it's just that 2 or 3 minutes that they spend thinking, or oh, I read something the other day, where is that? And then they look for it, and then they put that. I mean, that really is at the essence of what Quiet Value Women is, that kind of thinking, where you're just thinking just a little bit more, a
Hmm.
little bit deeper, and a little bit broader. That would be what Quiet Value Women is all about. And I am forever looking for ways to engage more women. And I mean, honestly, there were some in-person events, and then in one in Denver itself, that we had planned for the summer. I was to come out there, and Shalini and I were planning on taking this into a much bigger thing. And then this was my year to travel, so I had travels planned to India and to West Africa, and so planning events around that. Those were all part of the Quiet Value plan. I mean, I never thought, I certainly never thought, even in March, April, even in May, I never thought COVID would become what it would become, and ground us in a very literal sense. So I'm thinking, how can I take that to to a more virtual platform?
Hmm.
Because it's not going to work just saying that in-person events are now online events. It's not going to work. So how can I tailor some meaningful content? Okay, maybe
Right.
I can't do the networking sessions one-on-one, but is there something else I can do? Is there something else Quiet Value Woman can do to sort of elevate the burden, just by a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
women. And so there are some things that that are in the works, and I hope I am motivated enough, stay motivated enough long enough to, I mean, it's a work in progress. I mean, you know this, you're part of, so many forums, and so, and you do so many things on your own. So, after a while, the motivation tends to sag. And so, I hope that I hope that doesn't happen. And, I hope I am able to accomplish the things that I want to do for Quiet Value Women. It would certainly be more, it would keep me more motivated if more people got on it, and, had a range of things to say. Because when I work with people one-on-one, when I interact with them, I know they have things to say. And so I hope, I can find a way to, not just bring those women to that platform, but also kind of, find a way to elicit some interesting thoughts from them, and, see how they process things.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you really foster creativity and deep thinking, or are hoping that those are the kinds of things that people will share, and that sparks other deep thinking and conversation that really is what creates that connection.
And for me, it's also because, the work that I do, I'm very, in your face with the people I work, whether it's, via Zoom or in person. So for me, it's not that, oh, everyone has a creative side, everyone has something to say. I know they have something to say. So, it's just the nature of work that I do. People sometimes say something, or, they pull out, someone quoted something from Latin the other day. And, so I'm like, where did that come from? And then they said something about, Sol omnibus luce or something. And I'm like, what is that? And then they were like, well, the sun shines on everyone. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, I would never in a million years have guessed, you would have anything to do with Latin, but she did. So for me, I know people have things to say. I know people are better than, just that one side of them that they present, which they have to, at work or on social media, or, whether you created that image or, it was created for you, and then, you fit into it. There is only a side of us, that we continually project, and over time people come to accept us as being that. And, maybe we're tired, maybe we're too bored to change. But I see that in the women that I work with. I've seen so many different things coming from them, and, in many ways that really was the essence of what Quiet Value is all about. I want to see that other side of women, which they already have.
But just help them discover some of their inner talents that maybe they
enough to share that.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty good segue into my final wrap-up question about meaning, because I think that's another area that often we go through life with the motions and raising our kids and doing our jobs, and sometimes it takes you to kind of stop and reflect and really think deeply about a meaningful life, living a meaningful life, and what that means to us. What are your thoughts on how to live a meaningful life? What does that mean to you?
To live a meaningful life, and a lot of people might dismiss this as being cliche, but you have to be true to yourself. It could be in some very visible ways, like, how you wear your hair, or how, what colors you choose, to more deeper things, because we can't always choose our family situations, or we can't always, give up the job that we're doing because, it's not really who we are, because, there are some harsh realities of life. You have to pay bills. So there are a lot of things we do in life which, may or may not be what we would have done if we had a choice. But I think the meaning of life, or, to live a meaningful life, I think for the most part, you have to be true to yourself. Mm-hmm. And it may take some time for people to discover that, but I think most of us, we know who we are, but it is, the various environmental factors around us, that prevent us from being who we really are. And then there's always fear of retribution, that, if we say this or we show this side of ours, how, our friends and relatives and community, and, how they may perceive us. So it's just getting over, that a mental block, and saying, I have to be true to myself, over and above everything else. The first question I need to ask when I'm doing anything is, is this something I like? Is this something I want to do? And sometimes the answer may be, no, this is not something I want to do, but you may have to do it anyway. But just having that awareness,
Mhm.
and trying to stay true to yourself, and no matter what curveballs life throws at you. I think that really is the essence of leading a meaningful life. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my take.
Yeah. No, that was very, I think, wise and true of being authentic and knowing who you are and
Right.
being true to that. So good answer. Thank you.
And thanks for asking that. I mean,
Yeah.
no one really asked me that. And, sometimes some things are very clear in your head, but, when someone asks you that, it's like, okay, wow, meaning of life.
Yeah.
So thank
Well,
you.
it is. It's a pretty deep question. And that's why I say, just as you were talking about reflecting and discovering who you are, it kind of gets to that. What kind of talents do you have? And how can you share those? I think that adding value gives us purpose in life, and being a part of your community, you're providing a medium for people to do that. So regardless of how many people end up being on there, I think you should feel quite proud of that accomplishment. And so
I do
thank you
feel
for that.
very happy. I mean, of the many things that I've done every time I log into it, and like I say, sometimes the analytics are very encouraging. So I feel okay. The number of people on it, far exceeds the number of people who feeling comfortable enough to post on that. So I'll take that for now. And it's like there's just so much in the virtual space that's taking away people's attention to. So I suppose, a few strategic moves to, for people to say, okay, this demands some of my attention to, I want to give some of my attention to, quite value women. So, to find that, what is that thing?
Mhm,
I suppose that's more of a strategy issue, more of a practical issue, trying to find out, what women want.
mhm.
And I hope I get there. And, I mean, your support is, really, very, very much appreciated.
Well, thank you.
So
I'm
thank you
happy
for,
to do that.
you're not just someone who posts on the forum, you're a part of it. So I
Mhm.
really appreciate your thoughts and help and support on that. So
Thank you. So it's wonderful to be part of that community. So thank you so much, Aparna. I appreciate your time today. And
absolutely. Time. This
all
is
right.
fun. All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.